Welcome to the Human Needs Podcast. I'm Marcus Packard, here to dive into a critical discussion on how we can align humanity toward a shared goal, one that prevents human extinction by addressing the accelerating arms race. To achieve this, we must put an end to the constant trade-off between long-term collective well-being and short-term personal gain in our competition for jobs, clients, and resources. In this episode, I'm excited to share an interview with the Lone Wolf, Z.O Tha Lone Wolf, an outstanding hip-hop artist and activist from New Zealand. I recorded this conversation last fall, but I'm only releasing it now because I've been deeply involved in completing several projects for the Prosocialise Foundation. Recently, we secured grants for approximately $20,000, which required immediate action. One of these grants was dedicated to launching a local altruistic network in our city. With the funds, we produced 5 promotional videos about sharebay.org, the platform we use to coordinate this network. The videos feature local celebrities and public officials and were seen by tens of thousands of people in our community. They were a big success, leading to a few hundred new members joining the platform. However, our challenge now is to ensure people actively using the tool and encourage more to join. We had hoped the ad campaign alone would be sufficient, but it wasn't. I believe this is because we were required to use the grant within just 2 months, which wasn't enough time for people to fully engage with ShareBay. That said, we remain confident that this year, with just a few $100s more in promotion, we'll reach the critical mass needed for organic growth through network effects. In addition, we also received a grant to improve sharebay.org, and I encourage you to check out the latest updates. The site now has new features and runs much faster. So now back to today's episode. Z.O Tha Lone Wolf has been a friend for years and a strong supporter of my work with the Zeitgeist Movement, a global advocacy initiative that he has also contributed to in many ways. Beyond being a talented artist, you can easily find his music on YouTube or in the comments below. He is a deeply compassionate individual with an incredible ability to use his work to raise awareness and elevate consciousness about our interdependence as a species. I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did.
I got some notes here too.
To
What's up?
fourth episode of Human Needs. We have a special guest today. It's great to have Z.O Tha Lone Wolf.
What's up, man? It's good to be here. Thank you. How are you?
Good. So like I was saying, so there's a lot going on, and I'm excited to talk a bit about that because we haven't chatted in a while, in like at least a year, maybe more.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because when I sent you that message, I was like, man, I wonder how the bro is, and because it's been so long. We used to catch up more often than not, and then life gets busy.
So we used to have these meetings like every month, right? You
Yeah,
were always there, and
for sure.
those were other days. It's come a long way since then.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great to know what you're doing and be able to explain what we're doing too. And hopefully we can have more of these because I like the idea of recurring guests. Why not?
Yeah,
Especially
man.
people that are regularly active in this activity of what I call now prosocializing. So this is like
Mm.
probably heard that, right? You've probably seen that in the server that I'm running now. So for the people listening, Sean and I met in the Zeitgeist Movement Discord server. I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Maybe longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Sean was always very active and very supportive, and a great help in getting my activity going, which now has become a nonprofit, and we're excited to say that we've got a grant. It's not much; it's $7,000, but it's something,
Awesome.
right? And so
Yeah.
they're starting to
That's
grow.
good stuff. Yeah.
Remember back in those days on the server in the TZM server, it seemed like we were never getting anywhere, right? It was so all these ideas, and we're like
Yeah,
just teenagers there, just complaining about the world and how the world should be, right?
basically. It's quite tricky when you're under that umbrella in general because I think just hearing the words, if you're not accustomed to them, like the zeitgeist movement, can be knee jerking, or it can be triggering for people that don't know what the words mean, which is just it's easy. It's the current culture, climate, just moving it. But if you don't know it, it sounds like, oh, it's some conspiracy thing, and it's hard to get people to unite under it, and then it invites like people to have all these different opinions because of whatever how they've been introduced and perceived things. And so yeah, it's just that's the part. But there's so many good hearts and good people. It's just a lot of passionate people too. Tracks
Are
all
you still in
sorts.
that server? Are you still collaborating with
Yeah,
them?
yeah. Of course, I don't cut people off in general. No way, man. Nah, hell no. Nah. I love the idea of the train of thought and everything. I mean, they're all just containers and labels at the end of the day, aren't they? So
Mm.
it,
Yeah, we kind of grow beyond the original wording, right? So, I mean,
mm,
Peter Joseph. So those that are listening. So the Zeitgeist movement was a movement started by Peter Joseph, I think in like 2012. After his second documentary, I highly recommend everyone watch that. Completely changed my life. Um, and so the idea, the words he used very on the beginning was like the word you used there. It's a train of thought. That's what matters, right? It's a train of thought, not the words.
hmm that's right.
And,
That's
and
right. It's just a place to unite like-minded people. There is no hierarchy. There is no, there's no top of the ladder. There is no anything. It's just an understanding, and everyone's my brother and my sister in general. I'm not just gonna, fuck, it doesn't matter what group really, as long as you are doing the systems theory, the understandings, the work to work upon yourself and to be the best stewardship for the planet and yourself and others around you, and learning, upgrading, those are the traits I'm looking for. And if I see people struggling, fumbling, um I think that's the time to listen and tune in and try to figure out what's behind the communication, or what's behind the words that have been used. What's the translation of what someone's really trying to say? Because I think sometimes, and a lot of times, I've been just thinking about this recently, is that we get hooked up on our version of what we interpret from other humans.
right,
So depending on our preconditions and how we understand words and containers, and how we file information when we hear words and how we understand them, maybe because we've been taught to maybe a certain way when we were younger or whatever, then when we hear it, we interpret it our way, and then we assume what they mean, if that makes
right.
sense. But it's actually not quite correct a lot of the time, I've noticed. So I think we're actually getting stuck at the translation point, and we're getting hung up on understandings and words. So how do we learn the tools to figure out what someone's heart, or where they're coming from, or what they're actually trying to say behind everything? And I think
Right.
that's what I'm really more focused on. And I think that's there's just good people everywhere. There's no they're not like we got to figure out how to unlock everyone's abilities like the X-Men. You get what I'm saying? Like we might
Yeah,
be seeing like someone out of control, right? But it's because they don't know how to use their power, or they might not know something properly. So we got to really
right.
use this gift of empathy and understanding and respecting and honoring someone's life experience, right? So we can get to their superpower, figure out. It's almost like I had this understanding recently that we kind of could be like cells in a body. Now how cells like regenerate when they talk to each other, they
Right.
communicate, they it's almost like humans are the cells, and
Right.
when we communicate, we basically have the understandings or the answers to someone else's problems or equation that they might not have an understanding to. So
Uh-huh.
it's like everyone has the answers to everyone, and then when we communicate, then the cells regenerate, then we become better, we become more. And when we divide, that's what cancer is, isn't it? Right? It's like
Right.
basically when we divide and we try to compete and we go into our bubbles and we just hoard for our, whatever, our DNA, kin selection, whatever we do, our biology, whatever, then we end up, we disconnect. We don't have the answers with the next person. We're not attaining that higher self, that helping each other become the best versions of ourselves. And so I was just kind of pondering on that of translation mixed with how do we get connection and those and get people to their higher selves. And if you focus on that, all those other kind of containers and all the things kind of are irrelevant, because once you talk to anyone one-on-one, you find out that they really are a superhero. They really are. Everyone's the Avengers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's great to hear your compassion. That was always what was, you have many qualities, Sean, but what always really stood out a lot was your compassion and how you just spread that and teach that to everyone always.
Oh, thanks,
It's
brother.
really amazing.
Thanks.
There are a lot of things you said that I could riff on. Actually, I was trying to think about what like think about maybe I should write them down to see, not forget them. But what you what you ended there on the like how to bring out the best in people, right? So
Hmm.
that's the focus that I'm starting to direct my activity as well. So for a while I was talking about fostering pro-social behavior, right? And so that's like the written objective of the foundation, which is why it's called Prosocialize. But
Hmm.
what I found recently is that the way to do that is 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 essentially what you're saying as well. So like, how do we bring out the best in people? And
Hmm.
it's a saying, and it has to do with understanding what humans need. And there's this thing.
Hmm.
So I stumbled. I kind of had been working my way towards this because my brother who co-hosts the podcast with me, he's always been a fan of it's a psychology branch or organization called Human Givens, and that's how they
Hmm.
treat people, and it's been very effective to people that I know that have done that with them. And so there's like the idea. So there's a basic idea which is contrary to the way most people think nowadays, and the economy thinks that there's like that human needs are infinite, and so it's the opposite. It's the premise is that human needs are finite, they're
Hmm.
viable, they're knowable, and they're the same for everybody. They're the same for,
Hmm.
and so
Yeah.
we can know what these human needs are, just like we can know what a plant needs or
Hmm.
what a horse needs. We can know what humans need, and most of these needs are actually psychological. They're emotional needs, but they're no less necessary than physiological, like food is or water is. There, because what happens, that's like what the definition of a need is that one of the definitions is like the negative definition is that if someone lacks one of these things
Hmm.
for enough time, they will develop pathologies. And these pathologies can be either mental, psychological, or
Hmm.
physical, or both. And that's how you
Hmm.
know that you need. And so we can use science, which was a big thing in the zeitgeist movement, to determine what are human needs. And so a
Hmm.
lot of society's problems nowadays are because people don't realize like that humans need connection. They need participation. They need free time. These are actual human needs, like they're fundamental. Without leisure, we go crazy. We literally go crazy. And
Mm,
so you can't expect people to be sane, to take proper decisions, to have good judgment if they're not getting enough free time in their life. It's not about stoicism or about just being tough. And back in the old days, everyone was tougher. No, no, it's an actual fundamental physiological need, just like animals in the zoo are not
mm,
well either. They can't even reproduce often. Like captured animals can't reproduce because they're not free. So freedom is
mm.
also a human need. And that the positive way is that that's what people strive for. And it's the way to bring out the best in people. So yeah, it's interesting that you were thinking about that lately because that's like the focus that we have now.
Mm. Yeah, beautifully said, bro. Beautifully said. Also, I think one of an important need anyway is to honor people's life experience and their individual life experiences because they're so complicated and nuanced that you can't just put people in categories and sum things up so easily. It
Right.
takes a lot of listening to get to that person's unlocked true potential, whatever it could be. But we have to honor people's life experiences first, not slot them into our understandings like an NPC or like a like you can be like a main character in a movie and you're like, oh yeah, that's because they're like this, and then you're just like, oh yeah, they're like that, and then they're like that, and then it's like, no, 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 no.
Right.
We've got to take back a step, and we've got to really honor people's life experiences as well. And I think that's important. Once you do that, it's one of those needs that you didn't know was a need until you were like, "Oh, that actually unlocked." Um, yeah, honor and experience and loving of my life of that allows me to unlock more of myself instead of having to juggle or have to fit in or have to do the thing to survive. Going back to the survivals thing, maybe that's how it all ties in again,
Yeah. It's
because
yeah.
once you're trying to get those resources again and you're trying to do the right thing, you're one step away, or you might not, you mess something up. You're going to start saying the right thing to get, whatever's required. So you're not being authentic, which was going to lead to my next thing, which was authenticity. Super important to me. I noticed that once you lose that authenticity, and I think that authenticity is that thing you have when you're a child and it slowly comes out of you. But there's something, when you're a child, you're just authentic. You just say however you feel,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing or whatever. And so we kind of learn to lose that, we get taught almost. And I think it's a really important currency of a human being to be authentic, not to have to be the thing, or whatever you have to be.
Right.
So yeah. So I think those are two really important things to help people to get to like a really good, healthy mind state in the first place, to even have the opportunity to learn the tools that are required so we can use the tools to understand what is actually going on, to actually translate it properly so we know what we're doing and then move forward together. And I think we're stuck on some of these steps along the way. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I think you really did wrap it up though so beautifully with the with the movement and what you're doing, and the angle and the objective. It's really good.
Thanks.
Mm.
Yeah. So I yeah I love I love talking about what I'm doing, but I really would like to know what you're doing. So you are working on a new album or you recently released one?
Yeah, I'm working on a new tape. So I've actually got a whole tape kind of ready to go, and I probably could have released it because I was just thinking about it. I got like my first tape is Ninja Scroll, and it's 2017, and then
Hmm.
2020 we did it. We Are One, and now it's 2024. So it's like, yeah, I've got a tape that I recorded, but I wanted to go back and fine tune it It's all my music since probably 2020. Got it down to X amount of songs, maybe 12 on there or something. And it's kind of just sitting there because I reformatted my computer and I deleted all the stems, so I could re-record it all, or I could just release it how it is. So I'm thinking about wrapping it up because I'm not in that mindset anymore. That tape is like a one block. Like if I was to do a new record again, or a new recording again, or put some of my new songs on, it's a different mindset and vibration and energy to what I was doing since when I was in 2020. So I could basically I'm going to release that. I've got two options. I'm in the middle. It's either do we just release that and then I release the second one that I've been working on, or do I just do like a 2 CD thing? We just bring it out all together, and you can just do it like a block like that. So just kind of just fine tuning the actual how I want to bring it out. But there's behind it all, there's basically two tapes, but it's ongoing all the time because it's quite interesting. All this time, all year, up to about 6 months in, I just didn't do anything. I was just living life and compiling information. Didn't feel it properly because you got to really feel it, to really want to say something. You can't be just forcing it. You can, but
I
you'll
think
hear it.
sometimes,
It's like a spell.
yeah, I think sometimes what happens. So, like, I think this is. I saw like a graph, or it was a meme of creators in how, like, if you force yourself to create, um, like, I think what happens is what we do while we're forcing ourselves doesn't, like, we never actually use that, but
Mm,
it kind of gives us practice for, like, when we are inspired or something. But I
mm,
do think that sometimes we just need to take a complete break. I know, like, when I stop practicing guitar for a few months and then I pick it up, I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually better than when I stopped. Like,
mm. Yeah, you do. Yeah, and 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 probably about 6 months through, I just started writing. So this was only like, a
nice.
few months back now, right? So this is like it just was all on. It was just it was just coming out too, like, well,
Wow.
do it on the computer, but it was just you couldn't catch it fast enough. It was like, you know what it felt like? It felt like I had the cheat codes to a game or something. I was like, does anyone know how easy this is? This is like the way my brain was picking out the patterns and the columns of the words that I
Uh-huh.
was using for the syllables, but then it was like creating these phrases out of the columns of syllables I was allowed to choose from, but it was like doing it automatically. And I was like, does anyone know
Wow.
how easy what I'm actually doing? Like, can you see what I'm doing here? Like, yeah, it was like quite trippy. So I ended up knocking out, you know, 6 songs in the last, you know, in the first
Nice.
month. I think I did like 4 or something. And now I'm
So
done like,
you're gonna add
I've,
that to the other one, the older one. You're gonna add these
well,
new songs.
now this block basically of where I've just done this writing and these new songs, I'm gonna leave those as I might as well just bring out a new tape
Okay.
because it's all one block of a train of thought, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like you've captured a part of my life in a couple month period, 3-month period, all compiled of information and things I've learned and been inspired by. It's coming out as one hit now, like as it should be. As an
Mm.
artist, I think it needs to move that quickly. You should be writing as an artist. It should be channeling through you and fucking you should be going away at it. Like for me personally, I think it should be natural. And I know there's a lot of shoulds in there, and but it's just how.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm starting to write too again. I'm so one of the things that we're doing is organizing a party. So when we inaugurated the foundation, we I had like a I asked permission to have like a concert in a public square, and I tried to have I had brought like all these like just amateur bands, and then I put some speeches in between. So I brought people from around the country and even internationally to speak, about the train of thought, and it was Like it was a success, but it was a lot of work, and it wasn't that much of a success. So what I thought I'd do
Right.
now is I'd just like really simplify. So I
Yeah.
I have a friend who's been in the business of organizing parties. Like he organizes events and parties for public administration here. So they
Mm.
there's a lot of like public parties in the squares, and so he's a
Mm.
professional at this. And so I'm like, hey, just organize a party in the street. It's like a format called a solidary vermouth. So it's going to be from midday 12 to 4, and we're gonna have a bar, and we're just gonna have a DJ, right? It's like just keep it simple, and it works. Like a DJ works. You don't need to have all the headaches of setting up a band, not to mention 4 bands.
Yeah.
And so
Nah,
what I was like, okay,
yeah.
and then so I was thinking, okay, but how am I going to put the speeches in there? 'Cause the point of this is to foster pro-social behaviors, to foster mutual aid, to get the people to join sharebay.org, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
so I'm like, oh, I can just record like speeches or phrases or sentences and ask the DJ to slip it in. And so I'm working on that now. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Now you gotta learn people's roles, especially in the music industry. It's like the DJ is the guy. So back in the days when hip hop first started, the DJ he's the conductor. He's the guy that's setting up the block party, you know, and
Right.
getting everyone out of their apartments into their little areas and having these massive block parties. And they were controlling the vibration and the frequency that was going out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Literally.
and then after that, they would choose the MC. The MC would be like an honor. It would be a chosen person that people respected, loved, and all considered the spokesman. You know what I mean? And then they would be they would use their skills to honor the DJ, the person that was conducting everything. The DJ was really the orchestrator of the whole damn thing, you know what I mean? And over time, of course, we've moved it into superstars being the MC, and the DJ's kind of been pushed to the background a little bit more. But
Mm.
the DJ is the backbone to everything. So if you can understand how a DJ is operating, then you can work with him, freestyle off the top of the head. Yo, DJ, cut that
I'm not
song.
that
Boom.
good.
Oh, boom. Yeah, cut that thing there. Yeah, I don't feel like doing that now. Let's put that one on. Oh, yeah, bro. Got that right here. Boom, 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 boom. So it's like, yeah, you can be one with them, and I think that's where you're heading. You're gonna be understanding how it's going to be affecting everyone and what order to put things in, and and it
Yeah.
just takes time. It just takes time and practice.
Yeah.
You just
So, yeah. Yeah.
yep.
That's one of the things that I really like. I find very interesting and admire of your capacity. I think you're a great example of. So people often ask how they can participate in fostering pro-social behavior or in this
Mm,
transition, right? And I think you're a great example of how you just mix it in with everything you do. Like with your music, on your shows,
mm,
when you're
yeah,
gaming.
yeah. That's the way to do it, eh? Just be, you see, like I was saying before, authenticity is really high on my value system. So it's like if people can be as authentic as they can, so that you could be into anything really, and just whatever the social group, whatever the art you would like to do it through, you can just do it through however you feel. Or I don't know, I'm thinking of too many things from painting to sports to you know anything in between. It's like there's so many ways to express um to translate a better way of understanding things, you know what I mean? And there's also another thought I had was that through this current system that we're in, it's like it masks information and what the way we file information in general. There's a general language that has been spoken that helps keep people to understanding things. But if you look beyond that, the system that preservates itself, it's kind of like an organism, the way I see it, is that where you can find knowledge and the different keys or frequency keys or the different understandings, the scrolls, the hidden scrolls, is in art, because it's not looking there for some reason. And when you go into art, you'll feel something that can't be taken away. You know, maybe if they took away all access to music and the internet, and maybe if they literally, you know, they can burn libraries and stuff from the past, maybe. But once these art pieces are in society, it's not looking to, it doesn't know to look there or put a spotlight there. There's almost like these hidden scrolls everywhere that are actually telling you tools and information.
Right. It's like
And
compressed. It's like
yeah,
really compressed information, and they're like seeds.
yeah, bro. Yeah, and it's there, and it's in like really good movies or really good albums or music. You know, it's all there. It's just when you get it, you realize like, oh, fuck, it's right there under the nose, but it's hidden. It can't be taken away. It can't. It's a beautiful thing, and that's why I really enjoy art in general for long-lasting preservation of information. It's it's concealed, you know, it's right there, and it's and it there's so much to be gained from it. It's authentic. It it brings people up, and I just think it's all around healthy. Just like how you need to do lots of, you know, physical and fitness and keep your body active, you need to express and keep authentic and keep vibrating your ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really the only way I can really explain it with the vibration thing, because it's no lie that, you know, scientifically is how things work as well.
Oh
So
yeah, that's interesting. I was I saw a video the other day, a talk that was saying that they found how like a frequency of our cells or molecules or something, and how it can actually, it's possible to heal us with vibration or something.
yeah, bro.
And
Yeah.
it's like something that's always been talked about, like kind of like new age thing, or but this was really scientific. It was like, yeah, no, this is real. Like there's actually a frequency of our body, of our cells. There's a frequency there, and frequencies can actually heal and help them metabolize or process information or something like that.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
yeah.
and absolutely, Mo. That's yeah, absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And um uh you know, where only our senses are only a little piece of what is actually going on through our eyes, you know, smelling, our nose, hearing,
You know
tasting
that
stuff.
it, that reminds me of this. I saw it's really funny. So there's this mathematician going around the internet saying that mathematically it's impossible that what we see of the world is actually the way the world is. Like
Mm,
mathematically, it's mathematically like the probability is zero. So like even
yes,
space time is insignificant. Like it's
yes.
like as
Yep.
insignificant as the Earth is in the universe is space
Mm,
time in reality. Like it's
mm.
so what is the world, right? Like
There you go. There you have it. And you really do have to,
probably yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead, Tom.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to sit there and think about it for a little bit. You
The
don't have
vibration,
to.
that's what it
You
is,
could,
right? It's probably that's the real feel, right? The real feel is the vibes.
yeah, yeah, man. And yeah, can you consciously figure it out? Do you know how to identify, which is getting to my next parts, is that I'm writing this kind of center guide thing just for as I figure stuff out too, to quickly capture it and write it down so that I can put something together for people that, you know, feel completely discombobulated or uncentered or can't figure out you know, like you know, having mild anxiety every day. Uh, and yeah, I had some stuff here. The I had something I was gonna say, but
in your, so this is what you're working on in your new blog.
yeah, I was going to something that I had in there that I was gonna share with it. I had it all here, but I can't remember the exact thing. It all come back to me. It's
Yeah. The
but
one of the things that I was also found interesting in what you said earlier, about the organism, or cells of the organism. So uh,
yeah.
there's this. I have this alter ego. It seems I'm trying to interview him. His name is David Sloan Wilson. He has a foundation that's called Prosocial World,
Yeah,
and he
right.
also talks about catalyzing a paradigm shift. But I don't know if you remember when I was using those terms, but I was saying that I was
Mm,
saying that exact phrase. I don't know, 7 years ago or something, and I was saying at a
yeah.
conference. I wonder if maybe he picked it up from me. But he is like he's like an acad, like I'm an activist, right? And he's mostly in academy, and so he's like
Mm,
trying to completely dismantle the selfish gene theory, and he's got all the
mm,
science behind it. And so what he talks about, it's really fascinating. It's this multi-level evolution theory. So what the idea is that collaboration, there's two types of evolution. One is like the organism that evolves into, evolves with different characteristics, and then there's and so kind of grows with descendants into different, right? Like the typical way that we think that, so there's like a competitive part to it, right? That are
mm,
individuals competing, and the individuals are evolving. But then he's like, wait, but our body is actually the collaboration. It's of millions of unicellular organisms. How did that happen? So that's the multi-level um,
mm,
evolution, and it's really fascinating because then he says that that's what explains everything. It's that because when when you work your way up, like what is it? He gives like the example that, like, okay, self care is good for the individual, but when that in the when the group, it becomes selfishness. It's the next level of the multi-level evolution. And then there's like
mm,
nepotism, right? Is when it's within the family, that's good. You're caring for your family, and it's loyalty, and it's helping your family. But the next level up, when you're in a society, then it becomes nepotism. And so
mm,
what is positive at the lower level, what is good at the lower level, and is like ethically, or like it's good for evolution, or good for, it's valuable, is problematic at the next level. And this goes on
mm,
with nationalism as well. So like, or, or a company, wants to do best to maximize its profits, but then, that's destroying everything, like what we always talked about in the zeitgeist movement. The next level up
mm,
is that it's destroying the commons, the shared resources. And nationalism is good for a country, to keep a country together and working together. But then
mm,
at a global scale, it becomes a problem, because it becomes, you have like these ethnic battles. And so it really is
mm,
like there's all these different levels, and what's good at the lower level is a problem at the higher level. And there has to be some sort of evolution, and it does happen. And this is like the next stage evolution of organisms. They learn how to
mm,
become a, a larger organism. They learn to become cells of a larger organism. And I'm convinced
mm,
we are that humans already are. We're just not aware, because our cells probably aren't aware that they're part of us either.
mm. Yes, that's well said. Very well said. I'm feeling that. Yeah, definitely. Um,
It's fascinating stuff. Yeah, it's really, he boils it down to a sentence, which is, selfishness beats altruism within groups, but altruistic groups beat selfish groups. And
mm.
basically the sum up there.
Well, that's what I understand is that cells and DNA and stuff record all memory, you know, in general, and pass it on to the next, so that it can have a blueprint and have the next understand, right? So it can work in all ways. It can give it systemically negative understandings, like the Dutch hunger winter to protect itself. It was like, all right, I'm going to put on all this fat and stuff.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it can also be used for good. It can store um, good new ways of doing things into its cells and passing it on as well. So it's really like the version we see now is the version we have of this current system, right? It's the version that we have systemically gone on for generations to have all these things remember all the past
Yeah.
and to be the way that it is. So of course you're going to feel and think the way that these cells and whatever research we're going to do on it. But in general, from what I understand, is that we could reprogram it if you understand how to translate a different way of feeling and being and understanding of how you're filing information, because now you're changing everything, and then you're imprinting it differently. And then if you can put that on systemically into the next generations, then they can be the 2.0 of those, of that new way of imprinting onto your DNA. And then they can take it from there like a baton. So it can be
Right.
used for like a 360. It can be good and bad, the way I see it. Like the version that we have now, of course, we're going to have a reflection of these results, is what I'm saying. Of
Right.
if they, for whatever reason, if they say it is XYZ, but it can be ABC. So it's like I just like to always keep that in mind when I'm trying to take in information and understand things.
And so that's what you're working on with these new lyrics, is to teach people how to process information in a new
Well,
way.
this my new lyrics are also just different again. So the center guide, I'm doing a few things. I'm doing this thing called Quest of the Avatar, which is just it's this set of values that once you find them and you write them all out yourself, then you'll know who you are whenever you stand in anyone's presence or with yourself or just in life in general.
Oh,
So
nice.
they'll be like honor, valor, honesty, compassion, spirituality, sacrifice, so forth.
Hmm.
And there's 8 of them, but you write what they mean to you, and then when you understand them, because they when you put them and what they actually mean to you, they're quite. It's a difficult actual exercise to get to the truth of what it really means to you. Like you know what does honesty really mean to you? Well, you got to write it down. So yeah, it's like once you do get them all in line, you'll find that you feel quite understanding of how you feel about things, and it's based on this old game series called Ultima 456.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ultima 4, if there's like peace over the whole land, it's based in this fantasy world. You go into it. It was kind of like the first RPG kind of computer games.
Yeah.
And the idea was that there's no evil, right? So there's no evil, but now there's no one believes in anything. There's nothing to really, there's no values or understanding or nothing to really sink their teeth in or
Oh, really?
really understand. So you go around to these different cities and different things in there. You got to master the different virtues, which is the 8, which I was talking about before. And so in each area, it might take someone's whole life to understand this one concept. But as for you, you got to go around and master them all. And when you do, then you become enlightened, right? So I was just taking that concept from 4, and I was like, yeah, if you can do this actually with yourself and write these all down and see what they actually mean to you and master them within yourself, live them, be them, then you'll feel more one than you felt before. You'll feel, instead of like having like double thought, double think and feeling cognitive dissonance sometimes and not quite understanding things and a bit confused and unsure, you feel certain and you can go forward. So that was one thing I was setting up. The other thing was the center guide. which is just immediate things you can do. So like breathing exercises, understanding, relax, detach, fetch the facts, instant things you can do. So instead of like spinning out or not understanding things or feeling anxiety or disconnected, because it's very easy to feel disconnected from humans these days. And just all sorts of things that I've learned over my time. Saying no, the can opener, little story, authenticity, explaining breathing properly, critical thinking, about Ash conformity experiment, egocentrism and knowing yourself, explaining communication so people can actually understand the tool of communication properly. And there's just all sorts of things like that. So I'm doing that for the center guide. That's the other thing I'm doing, right? And then for the third thing is the music, which is this shit is fucking incredible, my G. I'm telling you, I got songs. Yeah, man. Like I'm actually figuring out now. I feel like all my life has come to this point of all the music I've done, everything I've done in the past has only come to this point that I now understand how to use my voice properly to really vibrate molecules, air molecules properly to make you feel something when you hear it all together. And it's like the way you present all the tones, the syllables, the everything, bro. The way that you have to nail every BV to make it feel accentuated. The way that it flows, yeah, it's like nothing that I've ever done. That's all I can say.
Wow.
But yeah,
Wow.
it's stuff that was rolling. Like, I've got a song that's like, I think it's like 130, 40 bars or something. And it just goes just one big rap, boom, stand in your truth. It's just explaining what standing my truth is, and this is what it is, and it's goes on and on. Yeah, it's a massive raps here. It's flowing, different sheet, blades. These are all the names until I find, till the final technician. One's called the Blue Pill. One's called Work Together. But the way they were coming out so quickly, the way that the words were constructing so quickly, and the way it was so fluent, the way it had something to say, it was like, holy shit, this is like my head was like, I'm kind of in the mind frame of the world's not an evil place because there's bad people doing evil things. The world's a fucking evil place because good people do nothing about it. And so you know what I mean? And so it gives me that feeling that fuck, this is like a massive superpower that I can now. The way I really see it is like a magic user, because I play a lot of fucking like fantasy world type stuff, go into sci-fi, fantasy. I do all sorts. My brain goes into universes. But one of the concepts I understand from wizards is that they got high intelligence. And then what they do is they memorize spells, say like in the D&D world. So they can like scribe, they kind of memorize these complex algorithms. And then when they say them into the world, they can evoke or fucking do all these different things and channel the ether and the magic of the universe. And the way I see it as an MC is I'm the magic user. And when I memorize these long ass songs, those are the spells. And I'm actually saying them out with my vibration is the magic. That's the thing that's making you feel. That's what can change cells and you as a person into your DNA, like I was explaining earlier.
Right.
So it's like you are like a magic user casting out vibrations into the people, and it can change. And it's like it's a very I think you got to be quite responsible with it, because it's very powerful.
It's powerful.
People are affected by this stuff. And if you can perfect it and master it, you can come up with some like magic, real magic, man. Like this shit is amazing. Like not as in voodoo and magic and stuff, but as in magic, as
It's
in
real
the
power.
feeling and your heart.
Yeah.
You feel it like, whoa, this is amazing. That made me feel like, wow, that was, you know, And so, you know, that's what it's about. Because just like when you have the wizard, whatever, has to memorize these complex algorithms, the complex algorithm are these long ass lyrics that your brain's just pulling up instantly and rhyming them all back to back for what could be 25, 45 an hour of rhymes that your brain's just pulling out. Boom, remembers every syllable, every vibration, every way that you're going to say it perfectly. And it goes like an automatic pilot, like it's just something that's in you that you're tuning into. Fuck. That
Yeah,
is like a wizard. It's like memorizing these algorithms.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
love to think of it like that. Yeah.
That just reminded me of how difficult like shows are. So I've like I I've played in amateur bands and things like that, and it's amazing how like one thing is recording and writing, and the other thing is like you said, like actually being able to remember something to perfection uh, that lasts 45 minutes, right? It's like it's not just uh, you know 5 minutes. It's the whole thing.
And
Yeah, it's
then you
impressive.
realize also the physical side of it.
Right.
You try and project,
I'm out of breath. Yeah.
you know, for 45 minutes, and you want it to
Right.
be strong and sure and clear and vibrating, and
Oh yeah.
tones are perfect and fucking
Oh yeah.
yeah, it takes physical energy too. It does take practice. You'll lose your voice. If you get over passionate,
Yeah.
you gotta really figure out what you're tuning in and what you're doing. That's why I am really looking forward to this next set of music to come out, because the foundation is set from all my years of doing other gigs, that I can just go into these places and they go, man, how you doing? Yeah, man, we've got these slots open. Sweet. I
Mhm.
can sort out like a mini tour real quick, because the foundation's there. There's so much respect from you know from previous years. I mean,
Nice.
guess we are getting a bit more what is it, seasoned? Refined. Yeah,
Good.
been around a bit, So I mean it's good though. Yeah, it's so yeah, probably end up doing some sort of 4 or 5. Um I mean definitely will. City tour, North Island most likely. But
North
um,
Island.
the more I social
Mean,
the North Island. So in New Zealand we've got the North Island and the South Island.
okay.
And
Gotcha.
then so the
And you live
main pop
North Island or
I'm on
South?
the North Island. The main populace is kind of like on the North Island. That's the
Uh-huh.
hustle and bustle. And the South Island is kind of got like this giant mountain down the middle of it. And it's kind of more colder snow and more spread out.
Hmm.
That's more probably the beautiful landscape side that's more untouched.
Hmm.
I mean, the North Island has it too, but North Island's more of the westernized hustle bustle. Okay, yeah, hard out. But yeah, that's where I stay. I stay pretty much bang in the kind of like the middle, upper middle of that, which is good because when you do a tour, I can go up, I can go, east, west, south, and cover a lot of the whole North Island. So that's going
Nice.
to work for me. That's going to work for me. But where I'm at right now, I just want to make sure that this music comes out how I want it, and then once those spells are as a metaphor are really tight, then I can go out there responsibly and make people feel amazing. And that's the key. And then they won't know it, but when they go to sleep and those words have gone through them, they'll feel something. They'll feel something they didn't feel before. They'll like unlock something that they didn't know was possible. I'm going to use different words, containers, different understandings, different ways you can find information, different ways, and you'll feel different. You'll go, fuck. So that's the key. That's the goal. Let's get both these tapes out, whatever they are, whether they're a double CD or whether I'm going to put the first one. I think it's the 2 different blocks. I probably will do that. I'll probably do the first one. I'm feeling this is where I'm leaning towards, and then people will be like, oh yeah, that's me, and they'll be like, oh no, that was the old stuff, this is the new stuff, boom, like some months later or something. And then do the tour after that.
Nice. Yeah,
Something like that. That's where we're at, my brother.
that's I'm wondering if maybe we want to wrap it up and maybe
For sure.
meet again for another video, another episode in a little
Yeah,
bit.
that was a good catch up. So that was just the we could call it the data update, basically, because it's been so long. We needed to catch up and see
Yeah.
where we were at, and there, there's so much we can touch on, and we'll get there, and we'll just make it more of a regular thing. Nah, it's been a pleasure, bro. Thank you, Aya. Always got mad love for you, brother. You're an amazing, amazing man now, and you're very inspirational. You always have been. Showing me, all sorts. Like every time when you do it so naturally, and you hand out all the flyers and all the talks and all the things you do and all the events, and bro, your heart is so big, bro, and it's amazing, amazing. There's so much to be learned from you, and you are definitely one of the Avengers of this planet, my brother.
That was that. I'm gonna get emotional. I'm gonna start to cry. Thank you. That you are a great inspiration to me. You really are. Just the way that you flow so naturally with your authenticity, and it's kind of something that I'm always striving for, because I always feel that my work is contrived, and I don't know how to do it any other way. It's like something that has to come out of me, and I don't know how to liberate it. But what you do is so just natural, and it does the same thing. It's the same message, but just so fluid. And it's great to know you, and it's great to be a part of your life. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Mm.
coming on to this episode of Human Needs, and I look forward to having you.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Much love. Love you, my G. And to everyone else, love you all too. Thank you, my bro.
Okay, enjoy a shared world.
My man. Peace. Much love. Fucking beautiful.